Hey there everybody, it's Miss Allen. We are going to make a Mother's Day craft today because Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, and I thought we could make some flowers for Mom. So even if you can't get outside to pick some flowers, you can make some paper flowers just like this. You'll see they're 3D and it'll stand, might not stand on my hand. Hey, it did. It's going to stand. And we have these pretty flowers on top. This is not going to be too terribly hard. Probably an older level, so probably my 3rd and 4th graders. This is your moment to shine. If you are a younger student, you can try to do this with your parents, but maybe with your dad. That way your mom can still be surprised on Mother's Day with her pretty flowers. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need some paper in a bunch of different colors. You need a green piece of paper, or if you want to use a white piece of paper and just color one side green, that will also work. And then I have just a couple different colors. I'm not going to use all of this paper, but I wanted some options. You'll also need a glue stick and scissors, and we can get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to get my green paper cut. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently, I'm not even going to fold that all the way down, but, well, I might. I don't think I'm going to fold it all the way down if I can help it. But what I'm doing is I'm just finding myself a middle, folding my paper long ways. And I'm going to use a pencil, and I know this is going to be really hard to see, but I'm going to use a pencil and start making me some lines to cut. Now, my lines can be as thin as I want them to be, meaning the spaces between can be as thin as I want it to be, or I can make them wider. That just gives me a different kind of grass. But what I'm doing, you'll notice I'm not starting at the very end of my paper. I want to give myself some room down here, so when I cut these, I'm not going to cut it all the way across, because if I cut all the way across, it's going to cut the piece of paper off instead of just giving me nice slits in the paper. So I'm being very careful to make sure I don't start all the way at the end. And I might stop it there, and I might fix this one a little bit. But I'm going to try to hold that up so you can see. So I've just made some pretty even lines that go down towards the bottom of the paper but do not touch the bottom of the paper. And once I get that, I can go ahead and cut. Alright, so now that they're cut, you can kind of see that it's wobbly now. I didn't cut all the way through to the end. And I didn't say that, I guess, but I did not cut on this side. I cut starting at the fold and going towards the edge of the paper, because if you do the opposite way, you're going to have it cut wrong. So make sure you're cutting from the fold, and if you did it right, you should be able to kind of bounce these and they stay in place. So now that I have that, I can go ahead and do my glue part. This is the little bit tricky part. You're going to glue, I'll show you before I do it. You're going to glue this where the first piece of paper is not lined up with the edge. And I'll just put some space there so you can see it. You're going to glue that down to where it's not quite lined up. So I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to give myself a nice line of glue across the bottom. You can do this with white glue if you want to, if that's easier for you, or if that's what you have. All I have here is a glue stick, so I figured that's what I'd start with. But you're going to take the edge of your paper and you're going to push it down on top of that glue that you just put What that's going to help is when we roll this up, it's going to make it it'll make it nice and 3D. It's what gives us that space. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll show you how to roll this up to make it more of a 3D flower. So once this is ready to dry, I can go ahead and start rolling it. We're going to roll it just starting at the end, and I'm going to start rolling my paper all the way across. And what that's going to do is it's going to make these cuts that we put in the top of our paper, it's going to make them start to stand out. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there. So a little bit of glue is going to go right here. And that is so the end of my paper has something to stick to. But that's going to have to dry, and I might give myself like a clip just to hold it right there until it does dry. But you can see now that our grass is now out. I guess these look a little bit more like leaves too, but they're going to stand nice and 3D, and they'll be ready for our flowers now. So I've used a ruler and scissors to cut my paper into squares. I tried to keep it about 2 inches, but some of them were a little smaller. I made some a little bigger. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your lovely squares, and we're going to cut flowers out of these. I'm going to make a triangle, and forgive me, this paper does not want to cooperate. I'm going to make my triangle, and then I'm going to use this side of the triangle is going to come up across the middle, and you can see I folded it where the point is still here, and it's just kind of pointing to the side at an angle. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, comes up. So now I kind of have this weird little shape that has 3 points to it. I'm going to use my pencil that I had earlier, and I'm going to make a U or a rainbow line at the bottom. Now this line, this U rainbow line, or the upside down U rainbow line, is where I'm going to cut. And when I do that, it's going to make a flower when I unfold it. So I'm going to very carefully cut. Whoop! It flew. I cut the U. So this is what I have now. It kind of looks like a little kind of like an ice cream cone to me. But I'm going to open it up. And when I open it up, it'll make me a nice, cute little flower shape. Now this didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to, because I think I was supposed to have a little bit more of a cut right there. But I want to show you another one just to be sure I'm doing it right. And we'll do one more. Let's do blue this time. So make a triangle. Take the bottom part of the triangle, fold it up and across, and then do the same thing with the side, up and across. Forgive me, that did not unfold. And if it's a little wonky, I think it'll be still okay. So mine came out a little funny that time, but I'll make that line, that rainbow line, and I'm going to cut the oh, let me show you. I made that rainbow line. I'm going to cut the rainbow line. So very carefully. And it flew again. That's hilarious. All right. Got my little shape. I'm going to open it up. This one came out a little nicer. Makes kind of like a little flower shape. I'm going to do that to the rest of my paper. And then we can start making the middles of our flower. a yellow piece of paper and I've cut out little circles. You don't have to have yellow for that. You can use any color you want. I like yellow because it looks like pollen. But I'm going to start gluing the yellow circles down to the middle of the flower shape that I just cut. So it should look like that when we're done. Now that my flowers are done and my grass and leaves are dry, I can do the last step, which is to glue the flowers onto different sections of my leaves here. So you can pick where they go, and you're just going to kind of stick it to one of them, kind of like that. And so I'm going to do that with all of my flowers. And we got it done. I think it looks pretty cool. Doesn't look exactly like I was hoping with my flowers, but I still think it's pretty. And I like that it is 3D. You can see my flowers are still kind of coming up a little bit. I'm going to have to let this dry really, just really give it some time, just so my flowers don't fall off. But I think this ended up being really cool. You can surprise your mother this Mother's Day with a nice bouquet of flowers, just like this. I hope you guys had fun, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.